No, I just think it is.
Well, they might have said this thing, but I've never seen it.
Well, they're not gonna like this, like, in the yellow, like that.
All right, Oliver gave us the thumbs up that we are ready to go. And so, sorry, I apologize for the minor delay, but I will call this regularly scheduled meeting of the East Helena Public Schools Board of Directors into session. And the first item is our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, Craig, I didn't see that. I get so busy talking about it.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. We do appreciate your input and your views. And so with that in mind, for the board this evening, we have this evening's agenda. Does the board have any questions or comments on said agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. This is the opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items. On the back of this evening's agenda are guidelines for addressing the board on said items. And at this point in time, if anybody wishes to do so, I would invite them to address the board. With that being said, we are going to be unable to comment on any of the discussion that's brought forward, but we always take all those comments under advisement as we move forward. So at this point in time, to address the board. Please.
Okay, hi, my name is Juliette Hahn. I'm the head coach of the East Helena High School girls flag football team. I wanted to speak to the board tonight regarding our sport to ensure the board is aware of the anticipated MHSA vote to sanction girls flag football, likely in January. Regardless of whether MHSA sanctions girls flag football or not, I strongly believe continuing to offer girls flag football at East Helena High School is in the best interest of our students. Extracurricular activities, including girls flag football, are known to positively influence students in the development of life skills such as teamwork and time management, as well as personal growth, leadership, self-esteem, and social connections, all contributing to improved academic performance. We're in our second year of our flag program at the high school, and last year Fran Ivers was recruited to play girls flag football at Marian University in Wisconsin, an opportunity she would not have had if it were not for East Helena's flag football program. I speak with Fran regularly, and she did provide me with some feedback regarding the influence playing girls flag football had on her, stating, playing in high school opened a lot of doors for me to not only play a sport I love in college, but it also enabled me to pursue a higher education and helped me develop a balance in both my physical and emotional health. This year, athletes were not allowed to participate in girls flag football and another sport at East Helena High School, so I wanted to point that out because I think it's important to note that our sport generated interest from 23 female athletes who were not otherwise competing in a fall sport. And for many of our athletes, girls flag football has become their #1 sport. So in closing, as the topic continues to develop at MHSA, I would just ask the board to prepare to follow suit in whichever direction MHSA moves so that East Helena School District can continue to provide the best opportunity for our student athletes.
Thank you. Additional comments for the board? Please.
Hi, my name is Peyton Frisma. I'm a student at the high school and a captain on the flag football team. I'm here to talk about how flag football has changed my life and why I love the sport so much. Before I started playing flag football, I didn't really know what I wanted to do or where I fit in, but once I joined the team, everything changed. It gave me confidence, purpose, and a reason to push myself every single day. I've learned how to be a leader, how to communicate, and how to stay strong even when things get tough. Flag football has also given me a family. My teammates have become like sisters to me. We cheer each other on, hold each other accountable, and celebrate every win together, no matter how small. There's just something special about stepping out of the field, feeling the energy, and knowing that everyone out there has your back. This sport has taught me discipline, teamwork, and respect, lessons that go way beyond the game. It also opened my eyes to the kind of person I want to become. I've even started thinking about playing at the next level, and have reached out to a couple of coaches about it. And it's also provided me an opportunity to help younger kids not only fall in love with the sport like I did, but teach them lessons that the sport has taught me. Flag football isn't just a sport to me, it's something that helped shape me at and who I am on and off the field. I'm proud to represent East Salem High School every time I put on the jersey, and I'm thankful for the chance to play the sport. It's taught me more than just how to play the sport, but life skills in general. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate the comments. Additional comments for the board? Yeah, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Chloe Copenhaver. I'm a student at East Salem High. I was a captain last year, but I'm a senior this year, so my season's over. When I am asked the question, what does flag football mean to me, I realize that it is complicated for me to answer. Flag football isn't just a game to me anymore. It isn't just another sport to dedicate time to. It's a sport that has taught me leadership, determination, teamwork, and confidence. It is a sport that has pushed me to be better both on and off the field. When I first started playing flag, I did it mainly because my friends were, but as the season went on, I knew I wasn't playing for my friends or other people. I was playing for myself. High school sports have been rough for me in the past, and I ended up losing all interest in playing. I was ready to be done. I no longer wanted to put in extra time out of my time for something that wasn't enjoyable for me. That is until flag football became a program. If it weren't for flag and my coaches, I wouldn't partake in athletics anymore. Flag football brought back my spark and drive to want to play. Joining the flag team allowed me to express myself and dedicate my time to something I enjoyed and wanted to work for. I never used to be a go-getter and take the lead. I always wanted to be a follower. I wanted to let other people do it for me or show me how to do it. The sport taught me to step out of my comfort zone and be a leader for the people around me that needed me to step up and show them how to become one as well. Flag football has taught me to push myself and fight for something important to me. There were many days that I didn't want to wake up and be on a football field at 6 o'clock in the morning, but determination and dedication for my teammates pushed myself and pushed me to be there. There were many times I didn't have to show up for my team, but I did because flag football means something to me and to them. My teammates are a part of me. We have all worked hard and overcome challenges together as a team. Flag football isn't just a game to me anymore. It became a part of who I am, and it surrounds me with family and friends I know I can count on. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate the comment. Additional comments for the board? Okay, seeing none, then we will now move on to the general reports. And first up under our reports is our student report. And I believe our student representative is here, so Xavier,
All right.
talk to us.
This last month marked the end of quarter one. Our students are doing good. I don't know about anyone else, but it seems like the school year is going by pretty quick. Some activities that happened this last month. Our speech, drama, and debate team started up. They've had a few meets, and they're gonna have a few more this next month. Our volleyball team has ended their season. They ended, I believe, with 8 wins and 8 losses, which is by far the best record our team's had. We also got to host the divisional tournament this last week. Our football team has also been very successful this last month. We've got to host our first ever home playoff game. We played Glendive and we beat them 54-22. This last Friday we went to Columbia Falls, which is the quarterfinals. We beat them in a close game, 27-20. There was also a pet bus available for students to go on, which I went on that. It was a very fun trip. It was long, but it was fun. This coming Friday, we're playing Billings Central in the semifinals, which, if we can win that, we'll get to go to the state championship. So that's pretty exciting. Coming up this next month, our winter sports are starting, so basketball, wrestling, and swimming will be starting. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Xavier?
I don't have a question, but when you asked for other comments, I thought you meant comments from the team. I do have a comment that I'd like to bring before the board under the hear the public.
Okay, I'll allow it if you hold on for just a
Okay,
moment.
thank
We'll get this taken care of with the student representative. So are there any questions, any additional questions for our student representative? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
please.
I'm Denise Feller. I have grandchildren in school, and two of them are playing basketball, and they have all their games at Radley, which is all the schools come to Radley. Could we get new hoops for them to play on? They're all like this, and people are coming in and going, how come you can't get a new hoop in your building? And I said, well, I'll ask. So I thought I'd come to the board and say, can we get new hoops? They'd only need 4 because they're all hanging. One is broken completely, but it makes it harder for the kids to play. I mean, the ball's spinning them off and everything. So if you go in and look at them, you'll see what I mean. They're all hanging down.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask a question?
No,
Not even a little question.
I'm supposed to give you a little question, I think very little, we're not supposed to comment on public
Well, you
comment.
can ask me
I'm not gonna
something.
comment, I'm gonna ask a question. You're talking about the side hoops, correct?
Yes, the
Do these-
side.
Okay,
Yeah, they don't have the other ones to play.
because those ones adjust up and down? Do they adjust them down for the,
I don't know if they adjust. They're all down. I think they must be down because
Okay.
these are 3rd graders.
okay,
But
thank
they're-
you.
They're very slanted.
Okay.
Okay. So now we'll move on to administrator's report, and Brandon, you're up. Tell us what's going on over at East.
Good evening. Overall, it's been a pretty good month at Eastgate and Prickly Pear. In my board report, I highlighted a few things, some of which are our Oveus assembly that we had and the fun buddy class activity that we did, as well as some things that pertain to safety. We have an excellent administrator intern here with us, and that's Mr. Matthew Krantz, who is also an amazing music teacher. And so, part of his schooling is obtaining some hours through his internship, and he's been working with Mr. Sommerfeld and myself. And so we told him an excellent opportunity to get some additional hours and some experience was to come to a school board, and part of our duties are to report on things going on in our building. So I said, come to the school board meeting, you can report for us. So here he is.
Yes.
Welcome.
About 45 minutes. Yeah, exactly, keep me on track. This semester's been awesome because I've had the opportunity to sub for Gus and Brandon, and so kind of had a unique perspective on looking from the music side of things and then learning the administrative side of things. I mean, musically this semester, K-5 wise, we had a very successful fall folk dance night this September. We had our highest attendance rating ever, which was great. And what was really wonderful is that there was a lot of new families in the district that attended that, so getting to welcome them in and share the love that's here in East Helena was wonderful. I don't know how everybody, what their viewpoint on this is, but if you hear holiday music going on right now, the music programs are getting ready for their December performances. So I don't know if you're after Halloween, we let it blare, or if you're waiting until December comes around. But that's been really fun. The kids are super excited to rehearse and get all those things done. As far as working on the administrative side of things, I've got to sub in both buildings, and our staff has been really tremendous about just working together and supporting one another. I've had multiple instances when they've been out of the building where I've had to figure out either a scheduling conflict or how are we gonna best support a student in a really unique situation. And the staff that we work with are just super supportive and absolutely working in the best interest of kids. I really think that in the day-to-day, it doesn't matter what building I'm in, like that success for all model that we have here is very evident. It's also very evident, I've had, not with everybody yet, but I've got to work with most of the admin team here in the district. And their ability to share their wisdom with me has just been awesome. So it's been really wonderful to have all those experiences, so thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Matthew or for Brandon? Just make sure he doesn't have you do this every month then.
Right.
I think he said only once.
Right.
Gus, what's going on over at Radley besides?
I'm back here, guys.
Basketball hoops?
I don't have too much to add to my report, but typically in September, we introduce all of our new staff that we have in our buildings, and we waited for November this year. And so I do have a couple folks that are here that I'd like to introduce to the board. Over here, we have Caitlin Lasofsky, started the school year as Caitlin Moran, but then got married here in October. She's teaching 3rd grade. We stole her from a school district near Billings, and she was teaching a 3rd-4th combo, and she's fit in wonderfully here at Radley, embodies everything that we value. Right next to her, we have Tara Harrington. Tara teaches 4th grade, and I was lucky enough to catch her and observe her when she was student teaching in kindergarten over at Eastgate. And if you can teach 5 or 6-year-olds, you can do just about anything. So Tara's wants to, as well as fit in really, really awesomely at Radley. And I see Jessica Clannon over there. Jessica Clannon is our new special education teacher in a pretty unique situation here at Radley. She's filling some shoes that just became vacated a month into the school year, and she's met it with nothing but gusto, and yeah, just she's done a wonderful job of fitting right in and having pride in what she's doing. So I have a couple more, Mackenzie Arnold and Amber Countryman. They could not attend, but those are 3 new folks to Radley Elementary. Please welcome them.
Okay, any questions for Gus? Okay, let's go on to the middle school. Lindsay.
So I don't have much to report on. Everything's in my report. The new huddle's coming out soon, so stay tuned. And our new November broadcast will be dropping soon as well, and I'll share those out when they drop. But I wanted to introduce our new staff, and we had one that came, and I was very confident before she got here that I could take on her name, but then Kemper took away he humbled me. So this is Maya Gunsel. Did I do it? Gunsel. Gunsel. We call her Miss G in the office. She is our new computer teacher at EVMS. I also have Mr. Perka, who is our science rotation teacher. He's doing wellness of the body. That's not here, wasn't able to make it. And that is all I have, correct, Kemper? Yes.
It's hard to keep track of them all, isn't it?
I know. Last year we had a lot. So this year we only have 2, so we're super excited to have them in our building.
Okay. Any questions on Lindsay and her report? Michael, do you want to correct anything that she had to say?
Always, but I won't. No, I don't have anything additional to my board report, so I'll just stand for questions.
Okay, any questions for Michael?
In the middle school, do you guys have in-school suspension or just out-of-school suspension?
We only have out-of-school suspension just because we don't have the staffing for in-school suspension. It's definitely something I would love to get back into because I feel like it would be beneficial for all parties in certain circumstances, so.
Out-of-school seems high in October.
Yes, they were.
Any other questions? Okay, Paul, what's going on at high school?
Okay, so we've got quite a few new teams, half of them aren't here. So, and that's Casey and Hannah and Alex. Although Hannah's been around for half a year and Alex has kind of been around for a little while, but he's kind of a full-time teacher now for us. But who we do have here is one of our business studies teachers over here. This is Nick Edlund. He's come all the way from let me see, Kalispell and Great Falls on his journeys to get to us. Next sort of started up a thing called DECA, as well as DPA, he's running that as well. So yeah, it's really good to have him in the building doing all that stuff. Next one here is Sam over here. Sam was here at the second half of last year as well. We got to see a cow feeders today, that was really cool. Don't know if you've ever seen one. But yeah, they're kind of sloppy. Anyway, yeah, that was kind of cool. And Wigan, Samantha does lots and lots of really cool stuff in her building. I'm hoping some stage we will have her full time at the high school. But no, I guess I can dream, right? just saying, Lindsay. Anyway, so that's Samantha. And then finally over here we got Patricia, who's kind of she jumped in a couple of years ago. Was it a couple of years ago? Yeah, to be a business studies teacher. And then that position went away due to funding cuts, and now we're able to get her back in the building again. And so she's been a really welcome addition as well. She kind of knows the school and is kind of cracking the whip pretty well with the kids. All right. So yeah, those are all the guys we've got. In terms of my board report, you've got that. And the only thing I would say is I was on the bus with Xavier, and the football game on Friday was absolutely fantastically fun if you like sport. If you're a supporter of East Helena, you probably would have had a heart attack watching the game. But yeah, but as a sports person, just watching the game was just a great spectacle. We played really well. Our fans were generally well behaved. Generally. So yeah, it's a great game. Looking forward to this Friday's game as well. Thanks.
I listened to it on the radio, Paul, and there were a couple of times where I heard some background noise that probably wasn't quite appropriate. Any questions for Paul on the high school report? One question I had was in there you mentioned about the graduation and the locations on it. And one thing you said in there was Carroll College had problems with traffic and parking congestion in space. Was that a comment that they had made? Or was it just a perception we had, or what? Because what I don't quite understand is that they have to address Helena High and Capitol High. Do they only have problems with East Helena's parking congestion, or is that?
No, it's just an all-around problem. The difference with Helena and Helena Capital is they live there.
Right.
They're there in town, and so the air congestion problem probably isn't quite so bad because, you know, if they have a problem, they can kind of carpool or get to the venue really quickly. East Helena, we've got people coming from East Helena, and so we're not going to have that same kind of thing. And so it wasn't until we sat down in a meeting with the officials at Carroll College and with East Helena, Helena High and Capital, we kind of worked out that this was going to be really, really difficult to do. And it was, and because of the parking problems, at the same time, during that time, there's a golf tournament going on for 2 days, and there's also a softball tournament going on. And they're using the same car parking areas, and so we're going to have to car park a whole fairway away. We're going to have to pull people from and get people to drop their cars off at, say, Helena Capital or Helena High School, and then actually bus them in to the venue. Whereas if we do it in East Helena, we don't have that problem.
Sure, and I understand that. I was more interested in just, you know, the Carroll has, you know, the symphony or the stars, and they have all these other things that have a lot more people than what we'd be supplying, and so I just wondered if it was something that was selective on their part, or if there was another underlying reason. But
It was a calculated decision on our part to sort of make it as easy as possible for the people of our community.
Just make everybody turn right.
And then the secondary question I had for you was under the employment-related trips that Ms. Hader has been doing. It said that there was some students that, taking students on working and studying site visits, the listing of the different businesses. Do we know about how many kids are participating in that at this point?
As many as we can.
Sure, but I mean, just an estimate.
I think she's up to 62 that have done one touch point.
Okay.
Yeah, so each one of those, I think she's taken between 5 and 15 kids, depending on how many are interested. A lot of times she comes and grabs the transit van and just drives them herself, or the Suburban. So it's a lot of it's dependent on student interest, and then there's also just scheduling conflicts for kids who want to go. But I would say that's kind of a good range of the number of kids that are attending.
Okay, good. Yeah, this will be something that'll be asked more and more often as the program gets moving on. Is just seeing on how successful we are promoting it and how much we can get pushing into it, because they will be looking to see results. So that's good to know. All right, thank you. Any other questions for Paul? Okay, how about Trish?
All right, so you have my board report. One of the things I wanted to highlight is we do look at our discipline data, but the majority of it is our MTSS committee that comes together, and we work as a team to address trends we see in our discipline referrals right now. As you can tell from the report, it's mostly related to attendance. So we're working on just ways that we can boost attendance, boost kids being there, and just making it so that, you know, students are attending full days of school. Right now it's a little difficult. I would like to highlight too, divisional volleyball. I'm gonna say we, but the staff ran a very successful divisional tournament with some of the largest crowds I have seen for East Helena volleyball. They were great. We were complimented by so many of the people that were attending, between coaches, other ADs, other parents, just about how well-behaved our students were. I don't know if they were watching some of the things I was watching, but how well our students were behaved, how much the staff pulled together to pull this off while still running school. And so just tremendous thank you to our staff, our kids, our teams, really just for putting on a great divisional tournament. when we go support athletics and support things that our students are doing, we go with mass numbers. It's absolutely incredible to see just how much people want to be at athletics, they want to be at sporting events, they want to be at community events, and they show up for East Helena students.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Trish on the report?
For your attendance, is that, do you notice it throughout the day, or is it more to circle up?
Not Circle Up.
Okay.
I was actually shocked by that. I thought Circle Up would be the thing that people just kind of skip out on. We also, Paul and I are very strategically placed by the student parking lot door, so they see us and turn around and go back to class. So that works out great for us, but mostly it's tied around lunch and the early morning class periods that we're seeing a lot of our attendance issues. The other thing is when seniors, and this is not to pick on seniors, but if they have just government in a school day, a lot of them will stay home and do their government work on their Google Classroom and not come into the building. So we're really trying to help with senior scheduling so that they're in the building for those class periods. Yeah.
Okay, seeing no further questions, Charlie?
Because on my report, the only thing is we start winter parent night tomorrow night, 6 to 8, high school gym. And we're excited for the football this weekend. We had a great fall.
Any questions for Sean?
Actually, can I have one for Trish? So I heard something about needing to extend the school day a few minutes?
Not extend the school day,
No.
extend class periods.
Just class periods. So is that
Yes.
gonna extend the full day, or where are
No.
you guys gonna gain that time from?
It's gonna be just out of passing period and a little bit out of lunch. We have one of the longer lunches for our students, and we're gonna actually have to adjust just some scheduling that'll start after Thanksgiving.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But no, we're not extending the school.
There's no other questions for Sean, then if Oliver was here, I would assume longer. Did he nail it? Okay. Fair enough, if I were him, I would have taken that too, so, okay. So that'll take care of the administrator's report. We've got the trustee and committee reports of the board, and I don't believe any of the committees met, except I do believe that there was a calendar committee that did meet. Is that correct, Lucy? I think, Martin, you're on that committee as well, so anything that you can report back on that, or on how that went?
We created a subcommittee to bring back the information on all of the research that was done for the 4-day. So that subcommittee is gonna put together a presentation of some sort, whether it's Google or PowerPoint, to bring back to the board. We're hoping to start meeting weekly. We'll see with holiday schedules how that's gonna come about, but I think we're hoping to bring it in January.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Before we continue on with the reports, if anybody would like to be excused, they're more than welcome to. Any questions for Stacy on or Martin on the calendar? Just Stacy? You are part of that, you do realize that, aren't you?
I do, yes.
Okay. You just weren't there, or?
I was not.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, then we can now move on to strategic planning and scanning for the district's future needs. And Dan, I'll let you take that off if you
Yeah,
would.
I wanted to ask trustees if March would be a fairly good time to look into the future and say that we could maybe spend a little bit more time together than our typical one meeting to meet with probably Deborah Silk from MTSBA to review and possibly update or revise our strategic plan. We haven't done that for a couple of years, and Scott and I were talking about it, and we thought maybe late winter, early spring might be a good time for that. Does anybody have any strong feelings about that one way or the other? Going to Europe or Hawaii or something and not gonna be around, or?
Orlando.
Oh, yeah, okay, Orlando, that's a good spot to go to in March.
March is a worthless month. What did Jeremiah Johnson say about it? He said it's a muddy farmer's month. Some people like, some folks like it, farmers mostly.
Yeah. I'm imagining she'll wanna meet with us maybe, 2 or 3 times, kinda review, and she's a great facilitator, kinda gets good discussion going. And it'll give us all a chance to kind of familiarize ourselves with the plan and,
That's a good time of year.
dig into it.
You can make sure it's like early March, not the end of March when it's spring break.
Yeah, we might even try and get going more like late February if that works for folks. Okay. That's about the only thing I had. We do have a discussion later on the agenda about Mountain View Meadows, but I guess we should leave that until then, if that's all right.
No, that'd be fine. The only thing I wanted to suggest is that there was a meeting on October 22nd, for the Helena MPO, that they had, on the 21st, excuse me, they had a meeting in Helena, or an open house in Helena, and then, the 22nd, they had an open house here in East Helena. And I do believe that Tyrell, myself, and I think Dan may have.
I met with them a couple days
before that, but we stopped by and saw, some of the things that they were proposing on it. I don't know, Tyrell, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there was anything that, struck out at you that.
No, there was, and it's planning level, so it's very high, there's a lot of desire for improvements in the NPO area, the boundary, but there wasn't anything, I guess, that jumped out at me that was particular. There is quite a bit of expected growth, I had some discussions about that. RPA is the engineering firm that's doing that, so if there's any, I guess, specific comments, they may have something on their website or the NPO website. Greg, do you remember if the website is online or not? I can't remember.
It is.
It is, yeah. Okay, so that'd be a good place to go see it. I don't remember very much, so apologies, that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, they had a lot of requests as far as people's preferences, what were they looking for, mass transit versus pathways, walking, hiking, trails, maintenance of it,
multimodal accommodations, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it was, like Tyrell said, it was very high level type stuff where you stuck your marbles into a jug and, how many, whether or not you were interested in cost effectiveness versus safety versus, trying to come up with what people's priorities are. But there didn't seem like there was a lot that you could really.
There wasn't anything,
too
yeah, there wasn't anything specific, really.
So anybody else have any thoughts on the district's future and strategic plan? Okay, seeing none, as always, we will revisit this again next month. So now we'll move on to notifications, retirements, and resignations.
Yeah, we did have a couple. They're listed in the packet. Rachel Case, paraprofessional, has resigned her position, and Trina Eris, who's been off and on over the years, a longtime employee with the district when she's able to work for us, has decided she needs to take a little time off, so she's stepping away from her responsibilities at Radley's. And I have accepted those on your behalf.
Okay. Any questions for Dan on the retirements and resignations? Okay, we'll move on to the consent action items. Before the board this evening, we have the minutes of our October 13th meeting, the approval of our current warrants and former warrants and current warrants, personnel actions, and then our approval of the surrounding school district enrollments. Typically, there is no debate on the consent action items. However, if any member of the board wishes to do so, they can ask to have an item pulled from the consent actions and discussed separately. Otherwise, if I don't hear anything to the contrary, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent action items as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Tyrell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tiffany, I believe. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. And now to go on to unfinished business. And the first item under unfinished business is our reflections of MSEL.
You ready to reflect?
We can reflect. So, trying to think on who all was in attendance. Forgive me if I forgot, but Mark, Dan, and myself. What's that?
Not me.
Not you, and not Kristen. Tiffany, I believe you were there for at least one of the days. I don't know, did you get online at all?
I tried to, and then, no.
Okay. Did you have problems getting online, or just it was?
My problems.
Oh, okay. Administrative staff, Jill, you were there, I believe, and Trish, Paul.
Lindsay was there for Thursday.
So, what were people's thoughts on it? Anything struck out to them? Some of you guys have been at these previously different locations in previous years. What did you think of it as compared to previous years? Things that could be improved upon? Were there any classes or subdeals that stood out to you?
I actually think it's the best one we've had in a while. There was more things pertaining to principals this time. That was nice to see, like the AI and all of that stuff. And Ron Clark, he's one of my academic boyfriends, so I was excited to see him.
Yeah, he was.
But he left right after, so I couldn't get a picture.
He was really entertaining.
He was.
I love him.
Yeah, we talked a little bit this morning in our admin meeting that we felt like even though the number of participants was down from previous years, the caliber of the sectionals was probably up. And so it felt like it was a good use of time to be there and visit with other professionals from around the state and share ideas and learn a little bit. I received some education about the new law pertaining to co-ops and interlocal, interdistrict agreements that I was completely ignorant about before MCEL, and I don't have the legal reference in my notes that I brought here, but I can share some documents with trustees through email that I picked up off the MTSBA app. The long and short of it is the law that was passed, I think it's House Bill 567 or 537, is designed to encourage districts to create co-ops or interlocal agreements on a county-wide basis. And the short version of this is if all the districts in a county form an interlocal co-op for primarily the purposes of things like business services, maintenance, and custodial, possibly food service, transportation is mentioned in there, even instructional services, so making it easier for districts to say share a teacher between two districts, which right now is really complicated. Then if all the districts in a county agree and sign on to this co-op idea, every district gets an additional 0.5 quality educator payment. So some quick rough calculations in my head puts that number for East Helena somewhere between probably $250,000 and $300,000 additional money annually for our budget. So there is an incentive for that. It's pretty complicated, and there were a lot more questions in the room than answers about like, well, how would this work and what would it look like? And there is a minimum deposit requirement that we would be obligated to put about 45% of our annual general fund budget into the co-op. So that's a significant portion of our operating expense. So you would have to imagine that the co-op would be picking up the tab for almost all of our non-instructional operations. And so some of the cynics in the room saw it as like a incentivized consolidation bill designed to not necessarily consolidate districts, but consolidate the non-instructional services that a district provides and and try to benefit from economies of scale of all the districts in the county. And so Scott and I spoke with, I think she was a trustee from Red Lodge, Carbon County. I didn't get her name. I thought you knew her. And she told us that Carbon County is very close to actually having their agreement written up, and MTSBA is writing it for them. And they think they're gonna make it fly. So Brad Barker, who's a rep from down there, was the one who carried the bill. And he's been encouraging all the districts in Stillwater County and Carbon County to get this going. And so anyway, it's just something that I'm hoping to learn more about and understand. I did meet with the superintendent from Helena on Friday and brought it up with him, and the two assistant superintendents were there too, and they didn't know anything about it. They were like, we've never even heard of this. And so it's, like I said, it's pretty complicated. There are some obvious incentives for the districts that participate. One of the interesting caveats is how it was explained to us in the session is a district could decide to join the co-op of the county next door. So say, for instance, we went to Helena and said, hey, we want to do this, and you're the biggest district in the county, so you guys have to get on board. And if they say, well, we're not interested, and if Jefferson County or Broadwater County were doing one in their county, we could sign on with them, and that would make it impossible for the Lewis and Clark County school districts to take advantage of it if one of the other districts in the county goes out with them. Yeah, I know, it's a really weird set of rules. So anyway, I'm trying to learn more about that. I'm hoping that School Board Association has a think tank coming up here pretty soon on that topic. That was my comment about him. So I too enjoyed Ron Clark. I wouldn't call him my academic boyfriend, but I love his enthusiasm and his passion for kids and just the drive to make school relevant for students and make them feel like they belong to something bigger than themselves. I think is pretty admirable. So we were talking about actually trying to send some teachers down there to check out his school and what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, we MCEL has hurt as far as attendance goes over the last few years. It's been, it dropped off significantly right after COVID. I think that there was people that realized that they felt like they didn't have the need for it. And so they're trying to rebuild that with some more vibrant, more exciting speakers, a little bit more diverse subject matter to try to attract everybody that they can. And so, yeah, any of these comments are very valuable. I'll bring them back to NTSBA as the leader of, or one of the leads on that, so that they can bring that in for future. And I believe next year we will be in Billings.
Right.
So if you can, I would strongly urge you to whittle out some time to attend that, because I do think there's a lot of value associated with that. So. Any other administrators have any? Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Well, what was most memorable to me was Ron Clark, and of course, his, 1% effort, which has turned into a boon for them. Now, some of that won't work in here because this is a public school, and certain rules dictate what you can and cannot do with students, but it doesn't necessarily dictate what you can do with the public. The parents, the people walking in the door, and making them feel a part of the school district, and when you embrace parents instead of set them apart, they become advocates for the school instead of oh, I hate schools. I hated schools when I was there. So I was pretty impressed with his deal, and I believe he was at MCEL probably about 20. Whenever he was the National Teacher of the Year, I think he was at MCEL, and of course he was a public school teacher then. And then he went into the Atlanta, into the projects essentially, and he's got those kids. Their system has got these kids going to Harvard and Yale and Princeton and not just graduating, but graduating with honors, and nobody else would give them that. hooting hell at doing anything,
That's
so,
impressive,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch the movie, I watched it after we got back, the Ron Clark story. He does not look like Matthew Perry, trust me on that one. And if you have about an hour and a half, because it's not very long movie at all, but it's very inspiring, some of the things that it's based on, so. Well worth the time, so. Any other insights from the administrators specifically? Okay. Well, thank you all for those who attended, and encourage the remainders to join us next year. So next item on the agenda is Resolution 242, the obsolete and unusable equipment bid opening. And it appears to me that if I have it correct, we had two bids for said equipment. And the first item listed was bid tractor. So I will open that up now.
Is it any one you need?
What's that? It is.
It is. No, I'm just, the tractor itself.
It's empty.
Oh, no.
Bid for the John Deere with brush attachment tractor, from Ken Listico, Phillips Road. His bid is $200. Okay, and for the bid for the Chevy van, is also from, this is, oh, yeah, the previous one was Ken, this is Richard Listico, of Van Agline Phillips Road.
I don't know what happened. I have no idea.
And his bid was $200 on the Chevy van. So those are the two bids that we have received for that property. And those were the only two items listed, is that correct, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. So at this point, with the bids open, they all look like they are in due order. At this point in time, I would entertain a motion from the board to award the items to the highest bidder or direct the superintendent to dispose of the items, whichever is the will of the district. Board.
We didn't have any reserves, right?
No, we did not.
I'll make a motion to award both bids for, as bid, I guess, is that the right term now? Yeah, as open.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Martin. Questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries, and we will get notifications out to those two gentlemen in short order, so thank you. Next item on the agenda is our activity bus update.
Yep, I have a quick update for you. The board took action last month to purchase 2 new activity buses to support our programs. Since then, we've discovered that, or I think it was part of the decision actually, that the MCI bus that we've been using for the last few years is needing $10,000 or more of repairs to the motor. So you'll see it below under new business as our next obsolete and unusual item we want to possibly sell. But the 2 buses that we purchased, those deals have been taken care of. The buses are purchased. The Hardin bus was picked up, I believe, on Thursday and brought here to East Helena. It's parked out by the bus barn right now. We need to get license plates on it, and we're taking it in Thursday to a graphics shop to have Hardin stuff taken off of it and the East Helena Vigilante stuff put on it. The motor coach, the Van Hool branded motor coach coming from the Las Vegas bus sales was picked up this morning. Our driver went down there yesterday, actually got his flight canceled and had to reroute, but he made it and picked up the bus this morning. His goal was to make it to Salt Lake City tonight, so it should be here tomorrow afternoon. And the graphics are done on that bus, And so our plan is to bring them to the Booster Club meeting next Monday night. And that meeting is at 6:30, is that right, Sean? And so we're gonna have them parked out in front of the high school from 6 to 6:30 for the trustees and the boosters to check them out. So, and I'll send you an email reminder, but if you're out and about after work on Monday night and wanna check them out, they'll be on display there for you to see what you bought. And we're pretty excited. The bus drivers are excited. The coaches and the activity director is excited to have some newer, reliable transportation for our kids. The Hardin bus, I went and checked it out on Friday. It's super clean. They went through it, had it detailed. The windshield was cracked. They had it replaced. The air conditioning was acting up. They had it fixed. So anything that was problematic with it, they took care of. They have a huge, or not a huge, but they have a binder that's full of all the documentation that came with the bus, the owner's manual and any repair orders and that kind of stuff. And they popped the hood on the back to take a look at the motor and it's spotless. So it's been well maintained. And that's the one that only has about 50,000 miles on it, so we think it's gonna be a good rig for us for quite a while. So yeah, that's the update.
And if it's not, then Tobin is going to.
That's right, yeah,
Tobin's the superintendent over at Hardin, and he was formerly of Lockwood, so our district has a pretty close relationship with him.
Worked with him for a long time.
Any questions for Dan on our activity bus acquisitions? Oh, good news.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll now move on to new business, and looks like we got a couple of travel requests to look forward to. The first one is Music Festival at the University of Idaho in 2026.
And Mr. Bass is here to talk with us about that.
How are we all doing?
Excellent.
Good. All right, so yeah, this is just a quick proposal to basically sell you this trip to approve for the jazz band to go to the University of Idaho for the Lyle Hampton Jazz Festival. So you should have in your packet some information regarding that festival. I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of that. You can dive deep into that. If you have any questions for me later on, I'll be happy to answer them as few words as possible. All right, so you kind of see the beginning part of that. So the festival is held at the University of Idaho, which is in Moscow, which is about a 5.5-hour drive from here, which actually really isn't that far at all. I was thinking it was going to be a much further drive. So that would make this trip turn into 2 nights, 3 days. So we would leave, looking at the schedule there, it would be Thursday, April 23rd. We would leave that morning, so we would stay that Thursday night, Friday night, then we'd drive back that Saturday. So that's kind of the time frame I'm looking at here. The reason for going is that we've been annually participating in the Buddy DeFranco Festival at the University of Montana, which is a great festival, but it's kind of landlocked in terms of like where we're at location-wise. Going to a larger school, there's going to be more schools that are going to be able to attend that, so that way the students that are going there, they're going to be able to hear and see and be part of something that's bigger than them. And seeing these schools that have more resources, seeing the level of music that exists out there, for them to kind of see where the goalpost is at. It's kind of to know where that's at, to know where to score, right? So in terms of going to the same festival every year, when we're going to the University of Idaho, when you are participating in a bigger festival, the stakes are higher. The criteria for grading for the performances that you receive afterwards, that's a little bit higher too, so it's just a little bit, there's more pressure on the situation for the performance, so to speak. And I'll kind of look at the last section here. I'll kind of skip down a little bit to the long-term academic and personal growth section. I'm a big believer in going and playing in front of people, performing your music for others who you've never seen before, performing in a situation you've never been in before. That's how we grow. We grow through your discomfort, not from being comfortable. It's these situations that you can put yourself in, maybe taking a chance. You won't know until you take that step. And then as soon as you take that step, the next one's easier. So going to perform something like this, I want kids to kind of get into that sort of mindset. So that's my proposal to take this. Funding-wise too, we would be using for our fundraisers. I might tap Booster Club at some point, but looking at largely just be funds that we raise on our own to help pay for our travel to and from the festival. And you can kind of see that table at the bottom kind of has more of a scope and sequence of what this festival is kind of entailing. One thing I do want to point out though, that this, two things actually, this is the largest outreach festival that the University of Idaho puts on. It's the biggest festival that they house, the most students that visit their campus on a single period of time throughout the entire year. It's a big event. It's a big event. And second, this festival was awarded the National Medal of Arts, which is the highest presidential honor you can receive in the field of arts, in academic arts. And that was received in 2007 by President Bush, which I thought was kind of a cool little bit of info there. Yeah, this is just my request to be able to take the Vigilante Jazz Band to someplace over the hill and kind of explore some new lands and share our music with those individuals over there. Any questions regarding?
Different time zone too.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah, that hour's gonna help us for sure. Going there, not coming back though.
How many kids are you taking?
I'll take 20 kids. Yep. In the jazz band this year, we are fully locked and loaded. I'm able to have 2 individuals on each of the rhythm section instruments. So I have 2 drummers, 2 piano players, 2 bass players, and that will allow us to like split into 2 different jazz bands, so we can kind of do some smaller ensemble units later on this year.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve jazz band travel.
that was quick.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Additional questions, comments from the board?
I'm assuming you're sending a bus over and we have buses with all the other stuff we have going on during that time.
Yeah, I think so.
We're gonna have to cancel a bunch of sports for jazz band.
It's a pretty lull in the year, like the end of April. There's not too much that week going on. So big state basketball's the week before.
Your priority in my eyes.
Yes, I'm in.
Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. There you go.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cole.
Okay, and we have a similar request, but a little bit farther away, is we've got the travel club that wants to go to England and Scotland in 2027.
Hi, I'm Brett Charlton.
I'm Brianna Humphrey Gilbert.
Rebecca Bergman. And so we are requesting sort of permission to begin fundraising for a 9-day educational trip to Scotland and England in June of 2027. Right now, there are a couple unknowns. We kind of have a hypothetical itinerary sent to us from EF Tours, and they have plenty of tours that are available for us to go to. But in our first kind of general interest meeting, I think there's some things that we are hoping to change. But we were really hoping to cater our trip maybe to the clientele that do want to come. So we have kind of put the brakes on maybe doing any recruitment to our cause until we have board approval for a trip. So that way the students know that it's a go instead of just coming to something that's kind of futile. So, yeah, you want to start?
Sure. I've worked with EF before. We went to London, Paris, Florence, and Rome last summer. I got to bring Connor, who came here, to talk about how fun and amazing it was. But they make it really accessible, and it was very nerve-wracking for my first time, but I felt totally taken care of, and it was very educational. Just really good things all around, so we would be really excited to work with them again. We really are interested in including more family members, if you guys allow it, with background checks, in order to open up traveling more to the community as well, and hopefully get family participation. It would also be cool because when you travel with EF, if your group is large enough, it's just your group. Last time we got paired with a group from Louisiana. That was really fun to get to know different people from across the country, but we would really love to kind of travel as a unit so that they can cater to our students more, because if it's only us, we can make more impromptu decisions, rather than having to kind of factor both in. So I'm excited at the prospect of getting to go back to the National Museums, because we talk about a lot of the artwork that is kept there. So that's the content that I'm excited for. Scotland is also really known for its fiber art. So I teach a fiber art class, and I think it'd be really cool to get some kids into that if they wanted to be.
Yeah, and for theater, theater is a huge part of England and Scotland's history.
You can't really travel to England and Scotland and not be somewhere where it's a theater hub or they had festivals or even an inspiration for a Shakespeare play. It's huge there. So we really want to take our kids to a theater performance. This will provide students with an opportunity to watch a performance of international theater, but will also help them connect with the culture that brought so many theatrical traditions that we know today.
Yeah, and along with this, like Scotland and England, we picked because of its educational value, obviously the fiber arts, the theater side of things, but we are planning a day trip to Stratford-upon-Avon, which is where William Shakespeare was born, and we do teach a Shakespeare play at 3 of the 4 levels at the high school, so it would be a way to interact with the material that they're learning in the classroom, but in the real world and in a different country, which is a super cool opportunity for our students.
Anything to add, Connor?
It was probably one of the best trips I've ever been on, especially for school. The one we went on to, especially London, Paris, Florence, we spent 5 days in Italy, where we got to travel through the entire countryside, seeing the Colosseum for 2 days, being there, experience all the new different cultural stuff you can't see here in Montana. So if we can bring more people and not have to hang out with the people from Louisiana, it'd be easier to make decisions. And I was able to bring my sister as a chaperone onto that, but it was very hard because it was only Berkman and my sister dealing with 20 kids. The Louisiana group had 8 different adults, but we got split up entirely between them. So it'd be a lot easier if we can bring more adults with us as well.
How many do you need for a unit?
About 30. We've got, I want to say like 10 to 15 kids with interest right now, but we haven't been pushing it very much, so I think that if we opened it up to families, we could probably pretty easily reach that number.
Do you have a brochure?
Yes. We do. Oh, here.
Yeah, you might be easier to get out here.
And when? You said 26, 27, 27?
27.
When would that be?
In June.
June of 27.
Yeah,
So like a year and a half.
Yeah, we just want to, really with an international trip, it is quite an expense, and EF does a really good job of packing a ton of information in. You have a guided tour, you have a bus for everything, so our transportation is completely taken care of, as well as a tour guide who has done this tour many times and been to all of these places beforehand, so it's not a shock and they can prepare us. But we do want to give ample time for fundraising because it can be a startle when you're looking at a couple $1,000s for international travel. But EF does offer a really cool payment plan option for the students to go, where they can break it down into a month-by-month payment so they can see how much that would cost per month.
Okay, I've got a question, but I don't believe any one of you 3 could answer that. It might be yours, Dan.
All right.
We are approving the travel club because it's a student organization. With the addition of other adults outside of that, does that complicate the motion at all, or can that remain separate?
I don't think it does, because there'll be volunteers with our organization, and so, like the gals mentioned, they have to be background checked, especially on a tour like this. I don't see that being an issue as long as we're upfront with people ahead of time. We cover the cost of the background checks for employees and volunteers, so that's one expense that they won't have. So no, I think it's gonna work out fine.
Okay.
And then the other part is going with a company like EF, who's a well-known tour company. We've had a lot of different groups use them in the past, and they do an excellent job of protecting the group, making sure everything's planned ahead of time. If there is a snafu with the schedule, they've got a backup plan. And they also have a whole insurance package that goes along with that protects the chaperones as well as the district. So.
Okay, well, if there's not a issue as far as like an outside, if it was open up to the general public, if you will, then it becomes a little bit more complicated. But I guess the motion then would just be limited to us approving that the East Helena High School Travel Club be approved for the out-of-state travel. So at this point, I would entertain such or similar motion.
I'll make a motion to approve travel for the East Town High School Travel Club to travel someplace.
England and Scotland?
England and Scotland.
Okay, do I have a second? Second from Tyrell. Questions or comments for the board?
You could eat good food.
Yes.
Not in
Yeah,
England
part
and
of it,
Scotland.
right?
Yeah, we're gonna have lots of meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Steamed water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said that they were also seeking approval to fundraise for this event. So is that a separate thing?
We don't.
No,
have
we
any-
said,
we-
the fundraiser will be approved internally, but we don't let
So
them,
we
we
get
don't
more
approve them
calendars.
until they've got board approval for the travel, because we don't wanna do the
Yeah.
fundraising part.
Yeah, it was more so just being able to make sure that
Good.
we're inviting students to come do concessions or something, and that money's going back to them.
And we actually have to approve the out-of-state travel, but how they pay for it is entirely up
So only if they open up like a student account.
Yeah, right. One question I had for you, Connor, was you mentioned cultural aspects that you couldn't get in Montana. What are you gonna get in Britain that you're not gonna be able to get in Montana? We have everything.
How would he know yet? He hasn't been exposed to it.
They got Glasgow in Scotland.
Their Coca-Cola over there tastes a lot better than.
We don't have Bill
Orangina.
Shakespeare's, we don't have Bill Shakespeare's house.
What did you say?
Orangina.
Oh, like
Orangina. Like, you know, it's like that orange soda. You guys don't?
Oh.
They don't have Stonehenge in Montana, so. how are we gonna see Stonehenge?
There you go, that is on
We
our
got Medicine
agenda.
Rock.
Sleepy Buffalo.
They have green now.
Bring it on, come on.
We
Yeah.
that's all, that's the whole night. Any other questions or comments? We have motion and second. Questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the public? Saying none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Good job, ladies. Thanks, Connor.
Okay, next item on the agenda is opening up a student activity account for the Pushka Haberdashery.
Yeah, so Nick, the young man that was sitting in the back earlier, we introduced new staff. As was mentioned, he is taking on the BPA and the DECA. He's also taking on running the haberdashery, the student store at East Helena High School. In the past, when it operated, when Mrs. Hushka was still with us, we actually used the BPA account as the depository for funds from the haberdashery. At this point, we think it's necessary to keep the student store funds separate from BPA and DECA. So we're just asking to create a student activity account specifically for those transactions.
And based on the superintendent's recommendation, I would entertain a motion to do so.
I make a motion to create a student account for the East Helena High School student store. I'm not trying to.
There you go.
Haberdashery.
Mess it up and we'll say that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Stacy. Questions or comments from the board?
Thanks for clarifying that, because I was like, didn't we do this already?
Yes, no, it was always BPA, and we had the same thing, you probably don't remember, but a while back, we created a concession stand account. We used to run concessions through BPA too, because Ms. Hushka was doing it all at that time, so. But it's making better sense to keep it separate, so.
And do we have any questions from the public? Is that your hand that went up, Gus?
Sorry.
No, I was asking, okay.
No, I was distracted.
Okay.
Brandon does that to me.
Come on, focus. Seeing no questions or comments, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda is consideration of an easement for the property located in Mountain View Meadows.
All right.
And I'll let you kick that off and introduce our two guests.
Yeah, so Mark Runkle is here with us tonight. He is the lead developer at Mountain View Meadows subdivision and has partnered with us on lots of different stuff in the past. And also with Marcus Greg Worth, the engineer who is responsible for the design up there for the infrastructure. And the documents that were included in your packet included a letter that we submitted in 2022 of our intent to grant an easement across our parcel that we own in Mountain View Meadows to facilitate two things. One, installation of utilities, specifically sewer and water, and also building a street above that utility, so it's utility and street easement. I did bring these maps, but they're actually in your packet. I didn't know if anybody from the public wanted to see any of that. So the parcel itself is about 9 acres roughly total. This street kind of divides the parcel a little bit, leaving a little less than 2 acres on one side and about 7 acres on the other side. Scott and I actually met up there last week with these guys, and they showed us actually what it all looks like right now and where the parcel was, because I told Greg that I had a rough idea where it was, but I hadn't actually ever been up there, and it's looking great. The time has come now for the board to follow through and grant that easement, and that document was actually also in the supporting documents. And so if it's approved tonight, then Scott can sign it, and Jen is here tonight to notarize it and make it official.
Are we getting paid for the easement?
No, what we're getting is access to city utilities that we would have had to pay for if we wanted to develop the property, and a street that is built that we won't ever have to build a drive. Well, we could build a driveway there if we built something, but it improves the access and buildability of the parcel. Is that what how you would describe it?
It improves access, but then you can't sell, like, you always have to have an easement. People have to be able to drive through it, right, for utility purposes. So it makes it also an issue for building.
Right.
How was with the school board, or did the school acquire this property?
It was donated in about 2002, 2003.
It was quite a while.
3 or 4.
It was Greg Dahl, right? Was that?
Yep.
Yeah, who approached the board and set aside this property in the initial plat. It's like when I was first starting with the district, like one of the first things I remember.
Because there is no road access otherwise, is there? Does Alpine View Drive go across?
Yeah, it goes up to the property and then it goes across. You're seeing that right?
So is it encumbered already with that Alpine View Drive? I guess I don't understand. Or is this for Alpine View Drive?
This is for the street to be, go ahead, Greg.
Yes, Greg worked with Steely Engineering, so typically when you do a subdivision on property, you would dedicate the streets themselves to the city. In this case, it's East Helena School District property, so you don't have the means to dedicate the street, so we do an easement. So that's what's happened here. So what's happened is, a couple years ago, the property, there were some condos that developed from the south. Now we're extending the property, the development of the property east and to the north. So this was the project to provide the continuation of Alpine View. So when we were over there, all the underground utilities are in. Previously, back in 2004, there was a sewer main that went through the property, so there's an easement for the sewer main. But now we have the water main and the storm drain.
So this was part of the original plat? It was just, it was never, you're cleaning it up.
And right now, curb and gutter is in. With timing, pavement will provide physical connectivity from Runkle Parkway in the south through the school district property, and it'll loop all the way around to Alice Street.
So this is like an actual road that's traveled on, not just for utilities?
That is correct. This will be a city street. It'll be, the easement will be to the city of Helena, and the city of Helena will be plowing and maintaining the street.
So there's no way to change where the road goes?
That was part of the original plan, so nothing has changed from the original plan.
And then just for, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
My other question was, I assume that to the east, I mean, it doesn't really matter, does that easement hit the property line? intersect so that we won't have to grant another easement to access property directly across from our property.
The easement will abut, it kind of goes.
Abut the east property line where.
It'll abut, so you
Okay.
have access to the new street from both pieces
Yeah.
of property.
I just didn't want to get in the, I didn't want some strip remaining where you'd have to keep granting easements.
Greg, under part 4 here, it talks about neither the owner or owner's tenants may materially interfere with or obstruct. The easements must be kept free of obstructions. What's the definition of an obstruction?
This is kind of a standard language that the city of Helena uses in their easements. It doesn't really apply in this case, but since the underlying property is still owned, retained by the school district, an obstruction would be, if you park the vehicle there, that clause is really set up for if you're doing like most commonly like a water or sewer easement through private property, that you couldn't, put a building over the easement or, any permanent obstruction. So in this case, since the point is to allow the access over the top of the water and sewer mains, it doesn't really have a whole lot of practical application because, you're allowed to have vehicular access over the easement.
Right, which I guess kind of worries me a little bit if the city has authorization to remove without, or at our expense, whatever gets parked there is public access. I guess I'm a little worried about the liability based on that language unless the definitions are what an obstruction actually is. That's just a concern I have. I get it, I understand the intent, but, from legal definitions, I just don't see that in here. I don't have any issues with granting the easement or anything else, I just, the language could be clarified a little bit with the city. I don't know if we can do that or not, but.
And like this, since it would be for a city street, it would default to city code, if for some reason there was a parked vehicle there for a long time, it would be subject to any other unattended vehicles.
Yeah, but it's at our expense based on part 4, which is, I guess, what I'm worried about. And then I also have, in other work I've done, an obstruction is potentially formation material below grade. If there's obstructions there, is that something at our expense? I mean, I guess, depending on, I guess what I'm saying is there's a little bit of ambiguity in the statement here, and I'm worried about just what those definitions mean. So, like I said, I don't have any issues overall with the intent, it's when you get into the details of the contract, so. I don't know, man, I guess that's my comment on the easement.
Having dealt with a lot of easements, there are many easements that have pro forma language that doesn't really make any sense. And like, you're being obstructionist right now, but like, you're correct. You're totally correct. No, I mean, it's used for everything. You're like, it's gonna be a safe street. It's not. So you didn't write it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we don't have
county city attorney in like 40 years ago wrote this thing. It has no bearing. We're like, no, we're not gonna remove it at our expense. Actually, we're taking that out. We're like, what are they gonna do? Like, how about you can't have it? So like, I'd say, I'm 100% in favor of what you're saying right now. Like, take that language out. I don't want it more in there. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, we're giving it to them. We don't have to undertake some sort of liability. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like, and I'm 100% in favor of doing it, but I'm sure that is like leftover language from something else. And if it's not leftover language, like, you're right, like, I don't want to pay to have some.
Would there be a way of getting clarification from the city attorney on this, or is this something where it's gonna be, I have not dealt with the city in a long time, thankfully.
That's the police department.
You might have a little bit better feel for it, Greg, but, what kind of issues do we have if we ask for clarifying language as far as the obstruction side of it goes? Because, I mean, I can't see I don't see Helena going after the school district and, having us tow cars away or having them blast out formation material underneath for them to run a fiber optic cable at the school district's expense. But I can see Tyrell's concern that if we're looking at strictly based on legal language, that there might be some ambiguity associated with that.
We should call up the city attorney, I think. I'm dead serious, like, just have them remove it, this isn't, there's nothing that's in stone here. And I just want it to happen quickly, for your sake.
What kind of time frame are we looking for on this?
Is there a deadline that you guys are trying to stick to?
We'd, this is signed tonight, we'd like to submit our final plat application to the city of Helena by the end of this week. Mountain View Meadows would like to get these lots, trying to get them available for early next year so they can be.
So if the board were to make a motion to approve the easement, just striking the last sentence of paragraph 4, would you guys be amenable to that?
I wouldn't, I guess, from an engineer's perspective, I wouldn't object to that. And we could revise the easement and submit
I
it
mean,
to
the
the
worst thing
city.
that could happen is the city planning office could reject it, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect,
through
you'll
the-
get a city.
Through the city's review process.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And what we're trying to do is figure out a way to expedite this as best and as quickly as possible on behalf of, Mountain View Meadows. So I don't want to delay any of your efforts. I think Mark has done an excellent job working with us, and so.
What about the conditional motion?
Do you want to just mark that out and initial it or whatever and see what they do?
That's what I was thinking,
That's what I was
rather than
thinking.
recreating the document.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that they haven't signed
Gives
it
us a
themselves,
chance
so.
anyway. Moving through.
Mark, I wanna hear what this is.
I think,
Yeah, Mark.
I remember when you got the gift, maybe been the board chair back then.
Might have been.
We determined that it was probably impractical for a school site, because it was only 9 acres, and I think it was below or right at the minimum maybe for, a small school. Now we're gonna give over 2 acres, away, so it will never be a school site. That doesn't mean it doesn't have value, I think it does. And I think maybe there's good value there, especially to have the utilities available to maybe do something else with it. So it's my historian moment.
Yeah.
you wouldn't
I've
even,
been wondering.
Huh?
I've been wondering.
Oh.
you wouldn't even have to remove the entire sentence, you could just strike at owner's expense, and then I'd be okay with it. I mean, that just gets rid of the risk to the district that it's at our expense. As soon as that language is gone, I'm good with it. So, I mean,
So we could do it that way, or you could, like you said, make a conditional motion and.
to remove the owner's expense risk
So
from,
Scott could sign a revised document this week.
Yeah.
If you get it revised, what do you think of that?
okay, I make a motion to approve the easement for utilities and transportation, with language stricken from number 4, conditionally upon language being stricken in part 4 that removes the risk of owner's expense to the district. And Scott is authorized to sign after said negotiations are complete.
Let's second that. You got that?
Don't have the wording.
Why not?
Yeah. I got who did the.
Let's try that again.
So I make a motion to approve the easement for utilities and transportation with language stricken from part 4 that removes the risk of that owner's expense. And Scott is authorized to sign after language is negotiated. That works for you?
Sure.
Get it that time, Joe?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have a motion and a second. I believe, Martin, did you second that?
Yes, yes.
Additional questions or comments from the board?
Well, I feel like it's a mute point, so this is already like done in 2022, but it does decrease the property value. Easement going through almost half of it, not quite a third of it. And so it does kind of, it was gift, sounds like. I wasn't around for that. Thank you, that's awesome. It's just unfortunate that the easement couldn't be better placed so that it didn't depreciate the property value for the benefit of the school for sure.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the public?
I would make a comment that when we gifted this, we also agreed to level the site and make it more usable. And we have done that. We're not quite complete, but we have it shaped at 1% to the south and 1% to the east, so it's very usable. And then we will soon replace the topsoil and level that and work that, and then seed that to native grass. And then I'll fight the weeds for a couple of years and we'll get it to where it's just grass. But that's the plan for the site, and it's
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That
very
there's
much more usable than it
a
was.
significant amount of site work that's gone on up there that we would have been liable for had we ever wanted to develop it.
And it would make some good soccer field or something like that.
Absolutely.
We always hear people want more soccer fields.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask if it was zoned for, like, is it zoned commercial or residential, or can it be anything?
Right now, the property is not zoned and there's no intent to zone it
Yeah.
at this point, or even, technically it's not even annexed into the city right now. So we would, Mountain View Meadows would do their part, so it would be up to the East Helena School District to ask for, petition for it to be annexed and zoned in the future.
Good question.
I'm up there a lot.
Any other questions, comments from the public?
I guess I didn't even know that. Just as a side, Mountain View Meadows is on Helena City Water?
That is correct. The
Helena
east,
city limits, but East Helena School District.
the east side of this property is the dividing line between Helena and East Helena.
Also basically be the road down. Basically be the road down. With a little sliver.
Right. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. So we'll get that fixed up. There is one caveat that I will have, is that I will not be in the state after probably 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. So if this does not happen within the time frame, and considering tomorrow's Veterans Day, the chances are that that may not go or whatever, then getting a wet signature might be a little bit difficult.
Can I sign for you then, as the vice?
You can do that, or we can do, if there's like we can do a electronic signature, something to that
Well, let me
effect,
know
so.
then if you need.
Okay. I'll connect with you tomorrow morning, is that okay, Greg?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll now move on to item number 5 under new business, which is consideration of resolution 243 for obsolete and unusable equipment for an MCI bus. that
Yeah.
Dan is referring to.
So this bus has been in the district for a while, actually. This is one we spoke of earlier. It was our oldest activity bus. We originally purchased it from the Presbyterian Church in Kalispell, and for use as a middle school transport bus for activities. Over the years, we've asked ourselves a question multiple times whether or not it was worth the money that we were putting into it, because it's needed some heavy-duty maintenance, and what we're running up against is, because of its age, it's becoming more and more difficult to repair, because of parts not being available. And so this last issue is an issue with the motor that requires pretty much a complete overhaul. The rough estimate that we got for it was $10,000. About 3 weeks ago, I noticed Hardin posted a ad for one of their old NCI buses with about $1 million on it that actually does run. And they were asking $8,000 for it, which was what we paid for it 10 years ago when we bought it. So it's just kind of at that point where and this fall, it's actually, I think it's a high school cross-country team or a middle school cross-country team or both that at 3 different occasions were on their way to contests that they never made it to because of issues with this bus.
But there's runners.
They're runners.
I know. Get 'em, kick 'em off. Yeah, so anyway, we've determined that it's time to go through the obsolete equipment process. We'll post it for bids and see if we get anybody interested. We may end up hoping that we can get it towed away for salvage without having it cost us too much money. Because we're just not quite sure. It's not like there's a junkyard for buses just down the road. So it's
What are you talking about?
Well, I get asked.
They got the Detroit?
He likes buses more than me, so I can ask him.
There you go. So, anyway, that's the purpose of the resolution today is get that process started, so, we can figure out what to do. It's sitting, I believe it's at Grizzly Diesel right now, and so we're concerned that we may have to start paying storage on it if we don't, figure out what we're doing with it here pretty quick.
Okay, so before the board tonight, we have resolution 243, and that is to solicit bids for the MCI bus, so I would entertain such a motion.
I'll make a motion. Said motion.
Okay.
To approve resolution
243.
Second.
And a second from Tristan. Questions or comments from the board?
I don't know, we could check, we'd have to get it there, which would mean we'd have to have it towed.
It doesn't run at all, it doesn't move.
No,
Yeah, what'd you do? Was it head?
I think it's cylinder sleeve,
Oh.
You what?
cylinder sleeve.
Oh.
Sounds like we got a mechanical over here.
How much can you get for
It's amazing how fast that in a Detroit engine like that.
We're looking into that.
Like a car is like
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah, we're looking into that.
That's a lot of fuel, it might be more than that.
That's what tires and batteries,
Yeah.
batteries are fairly new.
Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. Sixth on our agenda is initiative to name the Easttown High School football stadium. Dan, I'll let you do that.
Yeah, so you've got an email in your packet from an individual named Juliette Hahn, who suggested a great idea that it's a little bit confusing to folks that the Vigilantes play out here on a football field that doesn't have a name, and the Helena schools play at a stadium called Vigilante Stadium. And so the idea is maybe it's time to think about naming our football and athletic facility there at the high school, so that people have something to refer to and we tell them where the game is. We do have board policy for it. I included a copy of that policy in your packet. And so once the board decides that we want to move forward with naming the facility, we'll start that process.
Okay, so, and the process is that we would be directing the superintendent to name a committee in order to go through that naming. And so at this point in time, I would entertain a motion from the board to authorize the superintendent to do so.
I'll make a motion to authorize the superintendent to make a committee to name the Easttown High School football stadium.
Have a motion, do we have a second? Yeah, a second from Tiffany. Questions or comments from the board?
Anybody up for a real fight and just name it Vigilante Stadium?
The do.
I'm ready.
The only.
That's quite a bit of history and quite a few numbers more than we've got. That I think that's pretty fascinating.
They're amenable to change. You'd be surprised how fast
Were
they
you
change.
here, were you here when the, running club?
Yeah, I was here. Why,
Okay,
yes, I
yeah,
was,
so
and
you-
sure enough.
You do Henry Plummer and then they get the idea.
Any questions or comments from the public? One thing I would like to point out is Julia Khan is with us this evening. We appreciate you bringing that to our attention, calling to our attention is a great idea. And I hope that you would be willing to serve on that committee as well, because I think you have some pretty good insight.
We have a list of names.
So does he.
You're also a really good writer. That's a nice letter.
Oh, really? I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, it's nicely done.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions or comments, I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to budget update.
Okay, keep in mind, these are really broad numbers we're gonna talk about tonight. Now that we've got our fall count on record with the Office of Public Instruction, we're able to begin to project what we anticipate our A and B might be and how that could affect our operating budget for fiscal year 27, which would be next school year. So there's the last page of your packet includes a graphic, and if anybody wants to see what the trustees are looking at, there's pages here. Grab onto. What we're looking at is we've got a roughly increase in our A and B count right now of 19 students. That's going to fluctuate between now and February when they take their second count. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And it may go up, it may go down. It's actually declined a little bit since count day. And so we roughly can estimate that increase of 19 students would amount to a budgetary increase for us of about $143,000. We then also know that we're roughly expecting a 2.5% increase in state funding levels based on the legislation that was passed in the last session. And these calculations aren't drilling down into the actual funding formula. This is just taking big numbers and applying these counts and percents to it. When I put those two together with our current budget, it shows that the budget projection for next year could be in the range of just shy of $16 million, which would be an increase of a little over $500,000 from this year. I'm not confident about yeah, that is about accurate. And so what we look at right now is approximately what do we expect our budget to be next year, and then what do we expect our budget pressures to be. So where are the cost increases going to come from? And that's the box on the left-hand side that says projected budgetary increases. And what we factor in there is there's not a ton of speculation here. We already know what our negotiated pay increases are going to be for both the classified and our certified staff. So we can do rough calculations based on that. There are obviously changes when we have turnover in positions, things like that, and depending on how many teachers pursue master's degrees and earn them between now and next year, those numbers can fluctuate around a little bit. But Jill and I have gotten pretty good at making these estimates for the board, so you have a feel for what that's going to be. We factored in $25,000 for inflation. That's lower than the numbers we've looked at in the past, and it's just based on just operating costs. One of the areas that's been pretty volatile lately is utilities, so we're keeping an eye on that for sure. Health insurance is always a cost variable for us, and it's super hard to say what that's going to look like for next year. I think a $100,000 increase in health costs is pretty conservative, meaning that we don't really anticipate that it'll be that high. But after talking with Jill about trends we've seen the last couple of years, I had actually had that number a little lower, and we bumped it up a little bit just to account for what we thought might happen there. And then I added a line in here that says federal funding uncertainty, and that's related to title. So we don't know what's gonna happen with it. We keep being reassured by the Office of Public Instruction and the folks in Washington DC that the federal funds will continue to flow in some form to districts. If the administration is successful in dismantling the U.S. Department of Education, it's unclear to us what that might look like, and it actually might revert to something that used to occur in the 60s and early 70s called block grants, right? And so most people working in education nowadays don't even remember those days. I only remember it because I learned about it when I was in college. There are definitely pros and cons to block grants. And one of the pros is a lot more flexibility, but one of the cons might be the money may get, first of all, reduced because there are certain components of the title funding right now that the administration's not super fond of. Title I is not one of them, that's our biggest component. So I think we'll maintain some type of title funding, but we just don't know what it's gonna look like. And so to just sit back and take a deep breath and say it's gonna be the same as it was this year, same as it was the year before, I think would be a little bit foolhardy, although we just don't know. And the thing to keep in mind with our title funding is the vast majority of the dollars that we receive go to salaries, most of it to our instructional tutors and to a couple teachers and a couple instructional coaches in the district. So it's being spent, it's not like we could just stop buying the widgets or whatever we buy for the title program. It's like we'd have to stop paying the staff or figure out another source of funding for them. So that's a huge variable, but we don't know what that number might look like. Right now, we're projecting cost increases in the neighborhood of $470,000. When you put that up against the $500,000 expected increase from the state, we're in pretty good shape. Like I said, we'll be able to dial this in for you a lot more next spring. And basically the long story short tonight is, right now we don't see like urgent issue with needing to run an operating levy for fiscal year 27, unless the district wants to do something like add programs or positions in the district. Like for instance, we have a lot of room to grow our budget based on the current funding formula, and if there was to be an initiative, say to expand CTE programming or something like that, and we wanted to add a couple teaching positions, we could run a levy for something like that. But it's not a situation where we're like, if we can't pass a levy, we're not sure how we're gonna keep our doors open. That's not what's going on here. So that's the purpose of the report tonight, and just to give folks a little bit of something to chew on and think about, and open for questions.
Any questions from either the board or the public? This is an informational item only, so we're not making any consideration. But if anybody has any thoughts or concerns.
And it kind of plays into the next item.
Yeah.
Because Jill's gonna talk to us a little bit about elections. When we get there.
Am I talking or?
Not yet, no. Not yet.
Thanks, guys.
That's a withering gaze.
Well, it doesn't look like there is any questions for you at this point.
All right.
So we'll just keep that under advisement. We'll be updating this on a regular basis throughout the time frame. But speaking of time frames, as we transition into the next item, Jill will have a discussion on the changes of our Montana election laws and time frames.
So I gave all of you a copy of the most updated election handbook that she's in the process of still updating it. I don't think it's gonna change any of the dates, it's a little bit to do with mechanics as far as wording. So I think it's pretty set. But I kind of typed you up something that basically, some of it was word for word, but kind of made it easier for you to see. So the trustee call for election So it's now, the deadline is December 11th, where before you could start on a December 11th and you had until February 25th. Now it has to be set by December 11th. So we have to do the resolution by December 11th. I have to submit it by December 15th. The last day to file the resolution for school election is 15th. Trustee candidates file for election. That used to be all the way through March 27th. Now you have to file by February 9th. And then, once again, it just clarifies, you have to, not only do you have to do the declaration of intent and oath of candidacy, you also have to file with the Commissioner of Political Practices, and both of those have to be done and to me by February 9th. And there's no room for, there's no, what did she say? That is a no-go after that day. So if you don't do it, you don't get to put your name on the ballot. Last day for trustees to withdraw from election is February 9th. And I'm trying to go back and forth and show you what it used to be. It used to be, I think it was the same thing, March 7th. Deadline for amendments to election resolution, that's Tuesday, February 24th, except you're not allowed to do an amendment to a trustee resolution. So once we set that, that's set. So they're talking about the levies. And so, sorry, go back on that. When we have until December 11th to file the resolution, that also includes levies. And so what they suggest is that you, because if you do not have a fund on your resolution, so let's say we don't put, I don't know, what would be some, like technology. We can't go back and do it if it wasn't on there. So we don't have to set the levy amounts, but it has to be on there. So the suggestion from Nicole at OPI is to put them all on there, right? So then you have the option to do it, and then at a later date, you state whether or not we're gonna have a levy election.
I didn't think of that, so.
Yeah, and we did
technology,
kind
levy,
of do it
building
last
reserve,
year.
levy.
Yeah, and so we put the main ones on there last year and then decided not to have it, and so. And then the deadline for write-in candidates is Monday, March 2nd. And then, so basically what they did is they made the time window a lot shorter, because what they said is that the counties were having a hard time getting all of the ballots correct, getting everything in line within that time, so they gave them an extra, I think, 10 days. And this is what they want to do. So it makes it a little harder with the trustee, because there used to be a lot of time and now there's not as much. And I think we have 3 trustees who are up for election, or for re-election, or whatever you call it, re-election. And I actually gave every one of you a copy of the declare, so that you have a copy of it. You can also get all of those in OPI, and I also have them in my office.
So do we know who those incumbents are, Jill?
We do. It's Martin, Mark, and Tristan.
And so after December, so sometime between December 12th or
So
December.
after we pass the resolution, you're not allowed to do it until after it's passed, which has to be at our next board meeting. We kind of lucked out because a lot of people had to do it tonight
This month,
on the
yeah.
November, because
Yeah.
their board
Their
meeting was
meetings are
after the 11th of December. So we're right there on the edge, but it gave us some time to kind of think about it. And I helped one of the last year with the political practices, and it was all online. And it was pretty easy when you get into it, but I would suggest that you do that sooner than later. Because they do call me and confirm all of that, yep. And like I said, all of this is in your handbook, but I just kind of highlighted some of it.
This is another lesson at MCEL.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, okay, let me, so the candidates have to be, if they're not sworn in by the superintendent of the county, they cannot vote in the board meeting that they're sworn in, okay? But they also want you to wait until it's the last agenda item before you do it. So it's kind of doesn't make sense, right? Because if you're waiting till the end, they're not gonna vote anyway. But they can't, if they have not been sworn in, they're not allowed to vote. And I don't know exactly how that works, but I think that the current trustees are there until you swear in the new ones, and so I guess you would be voting, right? As still being part of the board until you were voted in again. So if our 3 incumbents stayed and we had nobody else against them, I'm not sure it would be the whole.
Say it again, you'll last me at the very end.
So it's
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
it would change.
contradictory because she said they can't vote, but then she said it needs to be the last agenda item.
Right.
So I guess she's saying, yeah,
And we encountered that last year.
Yeah.
We saw that as that we were not able, we had to have a special meeting because we could not certify it on the date of our meeting.
and that's the other
because we
thing,
couldn't
they
get
have until
results.
May 30th to canvass the election.
And they better make sure they get it done in time so that we can get our people, and that's one thing that
Correct.
I know that they pushed back a little bit, but if they're gonna handle this, they're gonna have to, they are getting what they asked for. I think that we should be able to get what we need as well, because when we've got deadlines to meet as well, and the county's saying, well, we may or may not be able to get that, that's unacceptable, so.
Yeah, So they have until May 30th, and so you have to wait until after, so we hopefully could still do it in June. She seemed to think that with the new deadlines being shorter, that they would have more time to sort of be prepared and that it shouldn't be an issue. But they did tell me last year that they counted Helena before they counted us, and that's why it took them so long.
Well, and even the counts and stuff are one thing, but the thing is that we weren't able to, until they canvassed or certified the election, or
Yeah.
before they canvassed it, we couldn't certify the election,
Yeah.
and we can't place the trustees in until that certification gets done.
Yeah.
But yet there's a requirement that the board has to be in place by that deadline. If they don't give us the opportunity to meet that deadline, then there's, they've got to adjust it. We have no control over it at that
Yep.
point.
Yep.
And it seems like to me that we've kind of done this, the fact that May's agenda goes through all the reports, then it goes through old business. Then we stop the meeting and have an election so that, or certification, and then appoint or elect new officers. So, but if you can't do it until the last, then the elected trustee is not allowed to participate, and the person that is going off, if they're going off, is allowed to participate in a meeting that they're no longer an
representative.
So that's, there was some real thought went into that.
So we
At
normally
least on
were
my
doing
part.
it in the May board meeting, is that right?
What's that, sorry, Kim?
Did we do it in the board meeting?
We used to,
Oh,
we used to
okay.
do it in the.
Until last year was the first time that I remember doing a special meeting
Yeah.
after the regular meeting.
Well, we have until Friday, June the 13th, so you could do it at your June board meeting, but I don't know as far as
And
policy.
one of the things that complicated it too is that the county is administering our elections now. Previously, we administered our own elections.
So you got to
And so
control it.
therefore, we could get the canvas
Sure.
ahead of time and be able to do that,
Right.
where
Sure.
we don't have that opportunity now with the county in control. And that's kind of where I'm a little bit irritable or lack patience, is that we've asked the county, and the county has willingly accepted that, and then they turn around, but we need more time, to the point where now they're squeezing us to our deadlines. Because the
Yeah.
board has to be, there's a requirement that the board needs to be restructured by a given deadline. And if that does not get met, then what happens?
Right.
So, okay, well, it's great information, Joe, I really do appreciate it. Do any more members have any questions,
One question,
especially the incumbents?
do you think, is there anything where they changed in Montana code when an elected board member is actually, I mean, it's always been the main meeting, but has that been changed, so it's variable?
You lost me, Mark. I'm not
Huh?
sure what you're asking.
When their term starts,
Yeah, when, I mean, it's always been, it's always been sworn in the May board meeting after the May election.
Yeah, when we've done it, we probably have done it incorrectly. So, but.
So, I got a question, I guess I'm looking through these timelines. There are deadlines for trustees to hold the organizational meeting to elect the chair and appoint the clerk, so that's Friday, May 30th. So, but the newly elected trustees aren't sat until June?
Correct.
So they don't get to participate in electing the chair or have the opportunity to become a chair themselves, because that's already been set. Is that the way I'm reading it?
That's where we're running into, that's the beef I have with this, is that they flipped the dates and they did it to accommodate the county, and now we're gonna get into it. We may not get into it, but there are school districts that if they ended up losing a fair number of incumbents, they might not even be able to hold business.
Yeah.
And then what are they going to do?
Yeah, I mean.
So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we're still learning about it, so
Yeah.
these are great observations and questions, I really appreciate the insights, so.
Well, that's a risk, I guess I would say that's a risk, is that you've gotta have a chair by the end of May, but you don't actually seat your new trustee until
Right, so if you were a newly elected trustee, I think you'd have a beef with that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have an opportunity to vote for the chair, or vice chair, or the clerk, and you don't have an opportunity to submit your name for said offices either, so you're kind of, you're shoved to the side and shoved in the corner and saying, you know, welcome to the board, now you don't get anything. So, I don't know, that sounds like a bunch of.
Yeah, we might need some clarification on that before we're all sitting down, Jill, so
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I mean, if they canvassed it earlier than May 30th, you could possibly do a special board meeting, I guess. But she said, and that was what shocked everybody, she said if the superintendent of, the county superintendent is not the one swearing them in, they cannot vote until
We've never heard
she.
that before.
I had never heard that either. And so that was a shock to everybody.
So, Mark, were you asking, is there a basis for that in the law?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, I have
At least
deadlines
half
for
the
sure.
time, I've been sworn in by the superintendent of public instruction.
Right.
At least half the time. And that's, that's like 40 times.
I can, so kind of the expert on all this is Nicole, and I'll email her tomorrow and ask her to clarify it. Because she's also the one who did the training.
Yeah, just let her know that the trustees had some specific
Yeah.
questions
And
about that.
our beef is not with OPI necessarily, although they're the ones that are interpreting the rules or whatever, but
Right.
our beef is that they're making it so it's unworkable. So if
There's just some risk, I mean, there's some real risk to being not able to perform our function or
Yes.
to include others to perform their function.
And am I correct in thinking though, that we are in a good
No.
position, because we can get the state superintendent, or we can get the county superintendent.
Glenda, good luck with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Bainville, like, you know.
God, what is with you and just attacking US 2 in the north?
I'm just saying. I have a story about
Long
Bainville.
ways.
There were also other deadlines in this, but I took all the ones that you guys, so that's why I gave you that speak to.
Okay. Well, thank you, appreciate it, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay, final item under our agenda is distribution of the superintendent's evaluations. So, I believe that Jen sent off an email. Did you email those off? Oh, just us. So I have hard copies of these as well. And if you want them electronically, Word format, you're more than welcome to grab that as well. So however you would, it works out best for you.
Word's best for you though, right?
Yeah, just,
Yes.
Word is better because especially with comments, I can copy and paste those comments into it. If they're handwritten, I've got to try to recreate them, and I just want to make sure, sometimes I make mistakes doing that.
Where did Jill say it was?
What's that, sorry?
Where did you say the Word document was? Oh.
And tell us like when we I can never remember when it's supposed to be there, it's hard to get.
When we're supposed to get it, I would like to see them, preferably like to see them at the next board meeting in December. But, you know, considering that it's kind of a shortened time frame on it, I would be tickled to death if I could get them in by December 19th, which is on a Friday.
But by next board meeting, it's fine.
Yeah, and if they could be sent off to me, I would very much appreciate that. Gives me a couple weeks to get them collated and figured out. Gives Tyrell a chance to review it and check my math.
I think just to keep the superintendent on his toes, it's important to note that there might be some late arrivals, so I don't think you wanna just, you know, think it's all phoned in and then slide.
Right there with you. Do I get one?
Yeah. Sorry. And then this is more of a consensus, it's not a normal vote, but passed, for about the last, I would say, 15 years. We have agreed as a board to place in the superintendent's file only the raw scores associated with his evaluation, and that the written comments were just handed to him direct. The reason behind that has been that there's been times where board members had differences of opinion on certain subjects, and then it was a case of, well, which one goes into his file? The one that, you know, is complimentary or the one that's negative? And at this point, the thought was that, well, we'll just give him all of the comments. He can do with them whatever he wants, but the permanent record would just show the actual graded scores.
Sure.
However, we always give the board an opportunity every year to make a change if they see fit. They wanted to do it in a different way. And so, unless there's a compelling reason, I don't see a reason to change, but I am definitely open up to anybody. Okay, so then we will do that. Raw scores in your permanent file, and all comments will be provided to you at.
Wow, they will be properly scrubbed.
You know, at a kid my age, there's two things that, I found that were not as necessary to be worried about. That my permanent record and quicksand.
They could be the same.
Me too, wow, it was
So-
everywhere.
Any questions from the board on that? Seeing none, then I can call this evening's meeting of the East Towner Public Schools Board of Trustees meeting adjourned. And our next meeting is scheduled for December 8th, 5:30, Prickly Pear Elementary School. So,
Prickly Pear. It's all on you, buddy.
I'm ready.
You're ready?
I'm gonna start setting up tomorrow.
That's what I want to do. I've heard a lot of AV problems, you know, audio visual.
Oh, yeah.
Bradley in January.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Oh, yeah, what happened to our report from the news?
It's just that one.